Good evening. I'm BenEzra, host, co-producer of Conversations. And with me is Richie from the postal clerk, the people who bring the mail in every day.
Letter carriers.
Diligently. And Jennifer, who's with the Survival Center.
Yep.
And who's been with the Survival Center now 3 years. So you've seen a lot of things happen in this time. It's no accident that unions are an important part of the community effort to make sure that the pantries keep getting filled over and over again. And Jennifer is the pantry coordinator for the Survival Center. Jennifer, tell us about how you got started with the Survival Center and what you're doing there now.
How I got started. I went into I was just in the Survival Center one day, and I went to get a box, and there was a sign on the door in the pantry that was looking for a pantry assistant. So I actually started off just as an assistant to help out and worked my way up.
And how important is that pantry to the community?
Oh my goodness, it is very important. There's just so many people in the area who have food insecurities, and it really just kind of fills in the gaps of either, running low on money, or the food stamps running out too soon, or being laid off, or whatever the case may be.
Now, you've been there for 2 or 3 years?
It's about 2.5 now.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
Have you seen a change in those who are coming in? Have you seen different kinds of people? New families?
We see, actually, we probably see about 5 to 10 new families and individuals a week. They don't necessarily come back each month, but because some people come in and they just need a box for a couple of months. They come in and they get a box for maybe 2 or 3 months in a row, and then they're done because they've moved on. And other people come in and they need it a little longer.
And what's in that box?
Oh, you can get a lot of goodies in there, a lot of good stuff. You're going to get your protein, your peanut butter, and tuna. Actually, we go through about 100 jars of peanut butter a week. We go through approximately 300 to 400 cans of tuna in a week. The same with soup and vegetables. About 500. We go through about 500 cans of veggies in a week. We have your meats, chicken, beef, pork sometimes, very rare. I try to give out eggs and milk, cheese.
So for purposes of the Letter Carriers Drive, which is an annual affair, which the community, I'm sure, is well aware of by now, you focus on non-perishables.
Absolutely correct.
Rich, tell us about that.
Well, if the postal
Particularly
patrons,
what kinds of foods
okay,
you recommend?
We see plenty of peanut butter, tuna fish, jarred sauce, bags of rice, boxes of rice, artichoke hearts. You never know what you're going to find in the mix of food that people put out. But I think, again, canned goods, dry goods, pasta are all things the Survival Center can use and keep on the shelves for a little while, even though it seems they're not staying on the shelves for too long, right?
No.
And you're the steward for the Amherst area local.
Yes, the Amherst
branch.
Post Office, yes.
Yeah. Approximately how much do you collect have over the years?
I would say our highest total was probably about 3 years ago when I believe we brought in about 9,000 pounds just in the Amherst Post Office. Last year we were a little down. I think we probably, you said you guys got about 10,000 total?
It was about 7,500 total.
75, and we didn't bring all of that. We only brought in maybe 6,000, 5,000 last year. We were down a little bit.
So the impact of the Great Recession impacted on a hell of a lot of families, and that resulted in a reduction of contributions.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that, definitely. Yeah. It was a little inclement weather too last year.
Yeah, but whatever the reason, the need's still there?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing that's really good about the NALC, the National Association of Letter Carriers food drive, is that each local post office that's involved, the food stays in that community. So, you know, in Northampton, as I drove by this morning, I noticed they had a sign, a banner in front of the post office that showed the food was going to the Northampton Survival Center. And we actually split the food in Amherst with the Survival Center and the First Baptist Church Food Pantry. So they get a smaller portion because they don't serve as many families.
So that's going to happen this coming Saturday, which is the 14th?
Yes, 14th of May, yes, correct.
Okay, and this show doesn't go on until tomorrow night. However, we are putting public service announcements on ACTV
Excellent.
daily, so that if you're watching any kind of a program on ACTV, you're probably going to bump into one of the public announcements.
And I want to mention, if you don't mind, that since the show is being seen tomorrow, Wednesday, everybody should have received a postcard in the mail yesterday, Tuesday, today, telling them about the food drive. So just
well,
look in
that's
your mailboxes.
terrific. So that the word is getting out.
Yes.
And Amherst Club had an announcement in today's lunch, and people are well aware of the issues.
Excellent.
I think we have an opportunity to make this a successful event because it's obvious, Jennifer, the need is greater.
Yes. Actually, I think in 2009 we collected from the post office food drive about 11,000 pounds of food, and in 2010 it was 7,500 pounds of food. Yeah. So my goal for this year would be 12,000. We've been trying to get the word out as much as possible and hang flyers and posters up around town and at the local businesses.
So for those of us who are retired or are still working, maybe we need to put an extra pound or two into our, just hang it in a plastic bag or a
paper bag, plastic bag, whatever you can put out there.
Stop and Shop,
we'll take it.
Whatever you use, hang it, and it'll be picked up on Saturday.
Correct. And at the post office,
if it's raining, it's a good idea to have it in plastic.
Plastic, yeah. And most people put it right by their mailbox, and the carriers will come and pick it up. And I just want to mention that in Amherst, at all the stations, North Amherst, in the center of town, and on University Drive, there's a hamper. So if anybody brings food in, they can deposit it at the post office also.
Okay. Anything else in regard to the food drive?
We can say that 12,000 pounds will get us clearly through the summer. So that's my goal, and that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, now we're going to take a break from the food drive, and Jennifer, we're happy to have you. Tell us about the Survival Center. It's growing, and there will be building and new construction. Yeah. Because the need is greater.
It is. We're very tight for space there. The free store, the meal site, as well as the pantry. We probably service, coming in and out of the doors, about 150 people a day. We have a clinic, a health clinic for people twice a week. Food stamp applications can be done there. Mass health enrollment can be taken there. So there's a lot of other services that that people can come down and join.
And isn't that a place to network with all of the agencies that can assist people with special kinds of problems?
We do many referrals on a daily basis.
Are you doing any group counseling?
Not yet. We're a little bit, we're too tight for space. It's hard to get space just to counsel.
What kind of clinic?
Health clinic. So we have two physicians.
What kind of services are available at the health clinic? Acute?
Yeah, basically, if you come in with a common cold, perhaps you can get prescriptions filled, and any of your basic health needs can be taken care of. Who
staffs the clinic?
Dr. Clapp and Dr. Abrams.
Okay, and is there a nurse on duty also?
Yes, Nurse Trish. I'm not quite sure.
Okay, so this is really a big operation.
It is. We are getting bigger and bigger, and the fact of the matter is that we do need to move because more community people are coming in, and it's just small. Lack of privacy can be an issue sometimes, and just moving around on a day-to-day basis.
You guys are terrific.
Thank you.
You make it happen. That's a lot of food for people for the summertime.
It is.
What happens the rest of the time, Jennifer?
Basically, the food pantry is supplied with food through the national. Is that going to be edited?
Don't worry about it. I'm always flopping around. Nothing is important.
Through the Western Mass Food Bank. About 80% of the food comes from there. But what tends to happen is, so the food is either allocated, so for a quarter period I can have 9 cases of peanut butter. Well, there's 12 jars in each case. So clearly I go through 100 a week, so it's not enough. So the rest of that needs to come in through donations. And so what we're working on now is having the local churches all sign up to do a 1-month food drive over at one of the grocery stores. We definitely welcome organizations and other programs and agencies to do food drives as well.
Okay. Now let's touch. We're dealing with the non-perishables, but I'd like to come back to the perishables because I think, if I understand correctly, that's a pretty big operation.
It is.
Tell us about it.
So I basically go through about, I'd say, 15 cases, maybe 20 cases of milk with 6 cases of milk, and that's just each family getting 1/2 gallon of milk. So eggs we don't always have, but the smaller families, which is a family size from 1 to 3, will get a half a dozen of eggs, and then the larger families will get a full dozen. I try to provide juice, cheese, dairy products, so people have a little bit of an option of stuff that they need, yogurts. Most of that comes from the food bank, though.
Directly from the
Directly
food
from, I
bank.
go and pick it up and put it on a pallet and bring it back.
Okay, okay. So the stuff is fresh.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of leftovers.
No, and the farms are great to us in the summer, during farming seasons. They give us a lot of produce. In the summertime we have fresh collard greens delivered every Friday, and it's just great. Squash and zucchinis.
Who are some of the farms that are participating? Do you happen to know? No? Okay. I want to give them credit.
I do too, but I
Next
can only
time.
think of her name right now. And
What's
their
her
names.
name?
Karen.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
do you know where the farm is?
They're all here in Amherst.
All in Amherst.
They're all
Okay.
in Amherst.
Well, so
Some
there
in
are-
Hadley and Sunderland.
Okay. Well, it's not only buying local in terms of the rest of us, for good reasons, to support our local farmers, but to get the real fresh stuff, but also that they're giving back to the community all the time. I imagine the farmers markets, or the daily farmers markets in town, are part of that
Yes.
giving.
Yes.
That's terrific.
You're having music up there too, I heard.
Oh, every Thursday at lunch we have musicians come in and play for us while we serve lunch. It's great. But
Did you say lunch once a week?
oh no, we serve lunch Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays from 12 to 1.
So this is a walk-in between
Yeah,
what time?
12 to 1.
12 to 1.
And then we have distribution where people can come. We get Whole Foods and Trader Joe donations for their leftover baked goods, and so you can come in at 11 o'clock in the morning and get some of the breads and danishes and sweet stuff and produce that they have, and also again at 1 o'clock. And Thursdays we have dinners and a movie, and from 5 to 7. And every other Monday we do family nights. So the kids can come in. We have someone there for homework. We have someone there to do sports and activities with the kids outside, and arts and crafts, and we serve a light lunch, light dinner.
That must be wonderful for people who are really between a rock and a hard place. It gives all the kids have an opportunity to find out that they're not alone, whatever the problem is. You can let folks know that last night town meeting voted to reopen the memorial pool.
Oh,
Very nice.
that'll be wonderful.
And I'm sure that that's going to be important for some of the families that use the survival center.
Yes.
Now,
It's a cool thing.
it's a challenge because they've got some work to do. But my understanding as of last night was that they're aiming for July 4th at the earliest. But the community really has reached out to town meeting and and town meeting is very sensitive to this. And it's not an issue of people being against the survival center, the pool. It's a matter of the finances. But then you get into something called priorities, and it was the will of the town meeting this time that this be front and center, that this could no longer be put on the side, that the impact that it has on children, not only with learning to swim, the opportunity, instead of one. Well, we understand that there were many kids who couldn't take lessons because the pool couldn't, the other pool, Mill Street, couldn't handle so many families. So that's really good news because it comes at a time when it is needed. Talk about some of the other activities. You mentioned a lot of them. Where do you get your helpers, your volunteers?
Oh, so there are there are 3 coordinators that work at the Survival Center. We have a bookkeeper, a capital campaign person, and the executive director and the program director. Everyone else who helps out is a volunteer. The bulk of them are from UMass or Amherst College, and so the college plays a large role. They have a CSP program there where they have the students come and do volunteer time.
What is a CSP?
Community Service Plan Program.
Okay, I'm not swift. Just to make sure that everybody understands what we're talking about.
No, so a lot of times.
So the kids at school are very much involved.
They're very much involved. They come in as freshmen and they follow through with their program, and they stay with us so far. As in my little 2.5 years, everyone that I started with is still there. So they're still coming back. And we have a large amount of community members which hold us down when the students leave, which is wonderful too.
Now, how about picking up? Is there mentoring going on at the Survival Center? Mentoring at any level, with homework and stuff like that.
Well, we have the family night every other Monday, which I'm a part of, and so we have someone who comes in, or we all, we'll have, if there's enough students there that need help with homework, we will do a homework club time. Yeah.
Coming back to postal workers.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure this is not the only community project you guys are engaged in throughout the year.
Well,
let's talk about
the
what postal workers do.
National Association of Letter Carriers nationally, one of our pet charities or projects has always been the Muscular Dystrophy Association. In fact, previous to Jerry Lewis, the letter carriers had dealt with MDA from the early 50s, late 40s. So that's always been one of our main charities that we've dealt with. Also in the community, there's a program that is a little bit underutilized actually. It's called the Carrier Alert Program. And what that is people can register a family member, say an elderly person or someone with health issues, and there's a little piece of paper that's stuck to the inside of the mailbox where only the letter carrier could see, so that you know if the mail has begun to pile up in the mailbox, there's a contact person, and you would notify them. Like I say, it's really underutilized, and I think it's something that a show like this, now we're talking about it, people may contact the post office to use this service.
Yeah, there already exists in town something like that. The town wants to know if you're disabled or elderly and you live alone. Those people are particularly vulnerable. And so this is a kind of a partially from the perspective of early detector. You guys are on the spot. You know your clients. And after a while, you begin to find out that there are issues. During the winter, I couldn't get to my mailbox because of the pileup of the snow. And they said, put a box in front of your door. and we'll drop it off, and it's been wonderful.
Excellent.
So now all I do is take a reacher, and I reach out into the box and I pull up my mail. I mean, you can live around this town a long time because there's just different ways we can get some help when we need it.
And that's the key, like you say, that's one of the beneficial aspects of unions, because they're working people in a profession that band together to try and help other people. And you know, that's been a key part of the union movement, the labor movement, or just working people getting together to try and make life a little better for everyone.
We're going to take a break for about 20 seconds, and then we'll pick up. You know, we're running ahead of ourselves on time. So, anything you want to introduce about the Survival Center, be happy to listen to you. Is there anything that we haven't covered?
That's what this should really be about, right? The
Well,
Survival
it's
Center.
about
Oh, okay.
it's about neighbors getting together.
Yeah, okay.
Neighbors
Whether they're-
helping neighbors.
Whether they're community organizations or they're union organizations, and finding a way to solve local problems locally. Unfortunately, the resources, and I don't want to get into a litany on it, but the priorities are not where they ought to be, and that's to take care of families in trouble in America. That's one of the things that we fought for over the years, whether it was the trade union movement or organizations throughout the community, to develop the safety network, which is now threatened. And I don't mind talking about that, but I won't. The Survival Center is going to be moving from,
1200 North Pleasant Street.
and this is about a year away.
Oh, I'm going to say probably 2.5 to 3.
Oh, so this is really a long-term building project.
Yes, it is. We will be.
So-
We've bought the building of Roosters.
Okay, tell people where that is.
It's actually about a quarter of a mile right down the road from us, from where we are now.
On the way to Sunderland.
On the way to Sunderland.
Near Harpo's.
Right. Yep. Right across from Cow's Lumber.
Ex-Cow's Lumber.
No,
Although they're going to remain as a hardware store, I believe. Yeah. That whole area is going to be developed. We understand it ultimately. It's part of a network of stores. Look for a grocery down the road right there. That's a natural to serve the North Amherst area. Okay. So whatever you're doing, you're going to be doing in the same location that originally that was a schoolhouse where you're located.
Yes, it was.
Okay, and tell people exactly where it is in relation to Pine Street and the church.
So we are right across from North Congregational.
Okay. Now, do you have drop-offs?
No. Well, we do drop off
Clothing.
during open hours for anything, just not during closed hours, because unfortunately people will drop off a bag of clothes and then it rains and then
So when
the
is
clothes are
good?
damaged.
Okay, but you have a whole network of clothing available to people.
We call it, it's inside of the free store.
It's the what?
Free store.
The free store.
Yeah, so there's clothing, there's shoes, there's, we get donated appliances and kitchen houseware and goods and stuff like that.
Okay. Is it possible, there are some people who have lots of stuff, but they can't get it to you. Is there any way, do you have volunteers who could come pick up?
I know that that's something that's an ongoing scenario at the Survival Center. So what we try to do with big items such as couches and furniture like that is have them come for the Trash to Treasure sale. So we'll go pick them up, and there's the annual Trash to Treasures in downtown where we don't have a lot of storage, which is another problem.
Yeah,
So,
I was thinking of real clothing.
Real clothing.
Warm stuff. You know, there are a lot of seniors in town, and they lose partners, and stuff becomes available. I've already dropped some stuff off, but speaking for myself, I know part of getting into the car, getting the stuff into the car, it would be helpful if there was some kind of a pickup.
Yeah,
So,
that would.
Maybe that's a spot for some volunteers.
That could be. We could bring that up at the next staff
would
meeting.
you?
Yes, we will.
Tell them there's some stuff at my house. But I'll find a way to get it there. It's just, it's one of many things on my mind. But there's a lot of folks who have, the older you are, the more you accumulate. It's just the nature of the animal. And there's probably a lot of stuff just hanging that's unused that we're never going to fit into anymore.
Yeah, that's the key.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We also have a senior box program too, where once a month we have a group of volunteers that come in and deliver. They come in and they make the boxes for the seniors and they deliver them out to the senior center areas.
Is that food?
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of like the
Meals on Wheels, but it's like or the brown bag.
And
It's
Whalen House, right?
Yep,
I
Ann
know
Whalen.
Recently, I
and-
saw a survival center truck come up with a bunch of donuts from Atkins.
Yep, yep. Atkins is another one of our big donors too.
Yeah. Okay. And anybody else you can think of?
Oh,
How about Stop and Shop? Are they?
Stop and Shop is wonderful by allowing us to do all of the food drives there. That's where the bulk of the churches do their food drives and
At
organizations.
Stop and Shop.
Yeah.
Do they have? You don't have the clothing box outside you used to have?
No, not anymore. No.
Well, I think we're just about ready to wind this up. It's first of all, I think the community. It's pretty obvious that the community is meeting their end of the bargain. They're stepping up to the plate. The Survival Center is just something that the community has really taken to heart. And I imagine in the last minute or so that I have, we ought to talk about the fact that the buildings cost money, and the funding is going to have to come from people like you and I in the community. So there's an ongoing fund drive. There's always some kind of an event to raise money.
There is.
When is the next fund?
There's I think what will be next will be Trash to Treasures, which is the furniture sale that they do in September.
September.
Yeah.
Okay, but in the meantime, number one, if you'd like to find out about volunteering,
Come on down to
there's stuff to do. And there's also room for any additional programming that people can come up with, which can help families in need. Yeah. But it seems to me that Survival Center is bringing the community together.
It is. For some people, they come every day, and it's really a place for them to socialize and to feel like they're part of the community.
Well, say hello and thanks to your colleagues at the Survival Center. And Jennifer, it's been wonderful having you today.
Thank you. It's been wonderful being here.
And Rich,
our pleasure to serve you.
We've known each other 15 years now.
At least. When did you move here, if I may ask?
1966.
66?
Wait a minute. 1996.
Yes, okay. I was going to say, 1996, right?
Yeah.
That's how long I've known you then, since then.
Yeah, right. And you look great. Who's your embalmer?
They're doing a good job, huh? Thank you. It's all that walking I do every day.
Yeah, I wish the hell I could do that. Anyway, on behalf of the community, thanks to the postal workers.
Yeah, sir. And thanks for giving us the opportunity to speak about this tonight.
That's what we're here for. ACTV is here to help the community in any way we can. We're your voice, and we want to give you a voice. So on behalf of the ACTV and its staff and its volunteers, I want to say thank you for the work that you're doing. That's it for tonight. I'll see you next week. Welcome. Again, come by and visit with Conversations. We'll be ready to talk about something that's important, I hope, to all of us. Good night.